Christians, good evening on this Thursday night. I hope and trust that you're having a good night. Tonight we're going to continue our exposition on the book of Job, and we're going to be in Job chapter 28. We're going to be in Job chapter 28. And as I always say, I hope you will find our discussion fruitful and enlightening to whatever degree that it may be, and that your souls will be all the more better for what we get to learn together. So just by way of a brief review, I'm going to read the last several verses of Job 27. And Job is speaking about the wicked. He's speaking about the wicked. And he says in Job 27, verse 20, terrors take hold on him. Talking about the wicked man. Terrors take hold on him as waters. A tempest steals him right away in the night. The east wind carries him away and he departs. And as a storm hurls out of his place. For God shall cast upon him and not spare. He would fain flee out of his hand. Men shall clap their hands at him and shall hiss him out of his place. And so Job is speaking here about the end of the wicked, or the result of their wickedness. And he describes it as being portrayed as being sudden and overwhelming. Their end, that is, sudden and overwhelming. And what Job is pointing out is that fear and destruction will come upon them like a flood or a storm, and it will be sweeping him away, and without any ability on his part to escape. It will be impossible for him to escape his condemnation. And so the final disgrace that Job points out that these men, these wicked folks will endure, he points out that their final disgrace will be public, so that all will see. Others will witness his fall, and they will respond with astonishment and contempt. And more often than not, the people that behaved and that functioned as the cheerleader for these wicked people, now they're going to be astonished, and now they're going to level contempt as though they saw nothing in these people to be celebrated. They're just wicked sinners, powerful people who exploit wealth and power, and they use their wealth and power to exploit the weak and the infirm and the poor. And so God gives us a clear message here through the voice of our brother Job, and lets us know that their end will come swiftly, and it shall overflow them. And then those others will see them and be astonished at how these people were really nothing in the grand scheme of things. The apparent stability that we often attribute to the wicked will come to an end. It will come to ruin. God will foreclose on their lives. Not just their house, not just their car, not just their bank accounts. The Lord Almighty is going to foreclose on their very being. He's going to foreclose on them. And he's going to show all the rest of us, those of us who need and who have been promised vindication, God is going to confirm before our very eyes that the oppressor and their wealth and their power and all their prosperity is only temporary, and all that they have accumulated will be given to us, the Lord's people. Now, we come to Job chapter 28, the next chapter. We're starting to pick up the pace a little bit in the book of Job, as I intend to, and but not at the expense of extracting every good morsel of truth that we can get out of it. So let me go through the next 4 verses. I'll read the next 4 verses, and then I will come to you all for opening remarks, those of you who are on the panel. Job 28, verse 1 through 4. Job says, "Surely there is a vein for silver and a place for gold where they fine it," meaning to refine it. "Iron is taken out of the earth, and brass is molten out of the stone. He sets an end to darkness and searches out all perfection, the stones of darkness and the shadow of death. The flood breaks out from the inhabitant, even the waters forgotten of the foot. They are dried up. They are gone away from men." So before I go on with the exposition, I want to get everybody's opening remarks and see how you're feeling tonight. So before I say good night to each individual, or good evening, I want to say good evening to everybody up front so that I don't have to repeat it again. But anyway, Sister Meg, your opening thoughts so far.
I think it's starting to change now, a little bit. We went from wicked to, I see this as like wisdom, like almost like a proverb. I think that I don't know. Ready to read.
All right. Sister Candy, thoughts, opening remarks. Okay. Sister Mariah, opening remarks.
Yes. Well, this is a nice change, as I would agree that Meg is saying. It's he's talking about the wicked. Now he's talking about like what I would consider now the process of sanctification, on how one is refined. There would be no reason to refine something that's already fined, or like that's already pure. There would be no reason to be extracting out the impurities of that thing. So I think that he's making a case for the sanctification of if I can say it that way, of a believer, and how it kind of works. If I don't know if I'm correct, but that's what I'm getting.
All right, good thoughts. Brother Rodney, welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I'm just here to, take it in. I mean, I kind of have a continuation from yesterday, just, about more so about righteousness. And, it just made me think, righteousness isn't necessarily always proven by your situation. You know what I mean? It can be based around what you refuse to, I guess, accept falsely when everything else is falling apart. Like, you kind of just go along with the flow, you know what I mean? So that you can be favored, be liked or whatever. And back to my point I made yesterday, integrity over image. And, I'd rather choose my integrity over a world image. And it sucks because you lose a lot, but you gain more in the Father, so I'm here for it.
Amen, brother. Amen. Brother Pat, opening remarks, brother.
Well, my first thought is that destroying somebody and refining them, that's 2 different approaches, isn't it? Like right now there's a military conflict going on in the world that's on every news station, right? And you could see that what we're not doing is we're not loving those people, right?
Right.
We're not over in that part, part of the world, seeing what's wrong with their lives. How can we take care? How can we refine things? How can we make life better for you? We're dropping bombs, and that's meant to decimate. So I think that we're seeing that, the same God that some people, he will bring his full wrath upon. And then there's other people in which he's doing something else that he's taking great care with.
Amen, brother. Absolutely. Brother Jeffrey, opening remarks, thoughts.
Good evening, Jonathan, and good evening, panel. Boy, y'all looking good tonight, sounding good, everybody. Jonathan, let's go back to verse 1 and 2. It says, there is a mine for silver and a place where gold is refined.
Mm-hmm.
Iron is taken from the earth, and copper is smelted from ore. What I get from this, and you may disagree, is that he's saying that wisdom can come from some of the most difficult, unusual things that life has to offer. He has experienced that. He has gained wisdom for all of the insults and everything he has sit through from his 3 phony friends. In spite of everything he has gone through, he is wiser for it. Yes, he is broke. Yes, he's half naked. Yes, he's still scraping himself with pot shards, but nevertheless, he has gleaned wisdom from that. And for me, that's what these 2 verses here, at least in verse 1 and 2, are saying, is that wisdom can be extracted from even the most difficult of things if we're willing to look for it and work for it.
Amen, brother. Sister Lisa, your thoughts.
Good evening, everyone. I agree with Mariah. To me, it seems in this chapter, the first 2 verses, Job has shifted his thoughts from what's going to happen to the wicked to consideration of what might be going on with him. Looks to me as though he is describing sanctification, being put through the fire, so to speak. And we all know, we've heard the term, refined in fire. And it seems to me that he is realizing, or at least considering, this might be what he's going through. And so we all know that when we go through sanctification, what it does is make us cling to the Lord. And I think that's what's happening with him. I think he's realizing something good's going to come out of this. And that's what I think.
Excellent. Sister Sean, you want to add anything? I don't know how much you heard, but I'm assuming you heard some of it anyway.
Yeah, this is a great turn from 27. Looking back at 27 and us understanding the delay of consequences does not mean the absence of justice regarding the wicked. And now we see chapter 28 where he talks about, valuable metals. He begins to make this shift, and how, humans we're skilled at finding things. And I think that this is an interesting chapter to get into. I'm just glad to be back.
Oh, sister, I'm so glad you're here. Glad you're here. So here's the thing. Here's what I want to get to on this one, because this is pretty good, and you guys have all had some good insights. And one thing that I want to do is really put if somebody has, hold on one second. All right, there you go. Candy's phone. All right. So here's the thing. We've been reading in the previous chapters about how the wicked do what they do, and they act as though they're not being seen, as though the Lord doesn't see them. They do their deeds, they commit themselves to their oppression and exploitation, and they commit themselves to an extraordinary and superfluous amount of sinful engagements, and they act as though no one sees them. And so now, as we begin to read, let me put something in your mind first so that when we start reading these upcoming verses, that what I put in your mind, I'm hoping you will allow to be a filter for the truth that Job is conveying here. And notice what he's saying. Verse 1 through 4 again. Surely there is a vein or a mine. That's when you dig in the earth and you want to find a vein or a area where there's something valuable. Surely there is a vein for silver and a place for gold where they find it. Iron is taken out of the earth and brass is molten out of the stone. He sets an end to darkness and searches out all perfection. The stones of darkness, shadow of death, the flood breaks out from the inhabitant. Even the waters forgotten afoot are dried up, they're gone away. So Job is starting his conversation here in this chapter by describing the skill and the industry of man in searching out for hidden treasures of the earth. Now, before I go on, and anybody can answer, we're over there in Iran. And what have you all heard is the reasons for us being there? Anybody?
Oil?
Oil is one. What else?
Power.
Power. But what
Protect
about
us from their nukes.
it's nukes? But nukes involves what? Uranium. Right? There's oil, there's uranium, there's all these things. And the same thing with over in Africa. It's all about the gold, the diamond mines, and all this kind of stuff. This is what Job is starting to talk about. He's saying, listen, man's industry and skill, man has great industry and skill in searching these things out, digging up these things and bringing them to the surface. Okay? Follow me along here. Mines are discovered, and the metals in those mines are refined, and they are deep and dark places, have to be explored in order to find these things. Like Brother Kaz says, natural resources and minerals. This is what men do. This is what Job is talking about. Okay? Man overcomes all of the natural obstacles that prevail, and he brings light into darkness and uncovering those things which are concealed. Gold, diamonds, silver, copper, oil, uranium, plutonium, all these things. Lisa, go ahead.
I was totally off base here. I'm thinking Job is thinking about what's happening to him. So are you saying that he is still speaking of the wicked and what they do, how they go and fleece everybody?
That's right.
Oh, totally missed that one. Thank you. Gotcha.
That's okay. That's okay. That's why we're here. We're here to try to understand this, what he's saying, because he's going to make a good point. He's going to make a very profound point. You're going to see it soon. So he says, so Job is saying here, basically in these first 4 verses, that man, by his efforts and by his ingenuity, he reaches into the depths of the earth, and he can do all kinds of things. He can get, find jewels, materials, or gold, and all these kinds of things. And he even drains waters that break through barriers. Man creates dams. They rechannel the flow of water. And I forget, and Pat, you might remember, but I forget, there was one of these, I forget the guy who tried to connect the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea. I can't think of his name, but it's way back in antiquity.
Omar Gaddafi.
Huh? No,
Omar
I'm
Gaddafi.
talking about way before him, but along the same things. But you're right, the same mentality. So what Job is showing here is that man has an unmistakable, remarkable ability to investigate and to master the things that take place in this natural world and to benefit from it and to exploit it and to capitalize on it and to do what men do when they make these discoveries. Verse 5 and 8, verse 5 through 8, Job 28, verse 5 through 8. Job continues, as for the earth, out of it comes bread, and under it is turned up, as it were, fire. The stones of it are the place of sapphires, and it has dust of gold. There is a path which the fowl knows, and which the vulture, when the vulture's eyes has not seen. The lion's whelps have not trodden it, nor the fierce lion passed by it. So he's pointing out that the earth yields all of these provisions, and it yields all of these hidden riches. And while it produces food on the surface, beneath it lies valuable stones and metals. You see what he's saying here? He's saying that, yeah, man, he takes his food, he makes a hearth, he sets a fire, he cooks his food, and right below where he's cooking his food, the ground is full of sapphire, diamonds, gold, and other precious things. This is what he's talking about. Yet, Job is pointing out that the paths by which these treasures are found are unknown, even to the keenest of creatures. So in other words, he's going into this whole idea about the birds can't find it, the vultures can't see it, and the lions have trodden it, nor the fierce lions that pass by. In other words, all of the other animals of creation, the beasts of the field, they don't know that it's there. They don't know what it is. It's not something that they have an affinity to pursue, let alone understand the value underneath, let alone being able to take those precious things and turn them into something that can monetize. Beasts of the field don't do this. Birds have sharp sight. Animals have a lot of strength. They don't discover these passageways, these veins, in order for them to seize upon these things, but man does. And so with Job here, what he's emphasizing is this, that human understanding and labor, it enables discoveries that go way beyond the instincts of the animal kingdom. And he highlights the unique capacity that man has to search out hidden things. Do you guys see where I'm going so far? Does anybody see where I'm going so far? Because what Job is saying, he's going, listen, man has these abilities. Man knows how to search the depths and to see and to make these discoveries. Do you not think that God, who sits in heaven, the Almighty, do you think for 1 second he doesn't see you? Do you think for 1 second when you sin, he doesn't see your sin? You have searched below mountains, below oceans, below, the ocean floors. You searched the depths of all the earth and you've dug up all these things of value. Do you think for 1 second that God can't see the wickedness of men? Do you think that he can't from heaven dig down into the depths of the earth and see the wickedness of men and to hold them accountable for it? Brother Rodney and then Candy.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. It just kind of just like, making me think about like us as humans, it's like, you can all kind of sense in the regard, like you can go get the light underground in a sense, but still be lost in the inside, so for everybody that's discovering the gold and stuff like that and the natural resources, but you're still broken on the inside, even kind of what you mentioned yesterday about him building the house as a moth,
Right.
and it can be crushed, the wicked never prosper, no matter how glorious it may look. Like, oh dang, I want that car, but then next thing you know, you get in a car accident. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but anything can happen, so but that's all. I just wanted to comment on that. That's all.
Yep, absolutely. Sister Candy, go ahead.
It just makes me think of man is from the earth, And all these things that we're speaking of is what they are about. And it's the things on the inside that, because they are not, and no one would seek for the goodness of God inside. I forget what part it was that makes me think of the inside part. Something
Right.
we see right there in that last verse. That I think you know where I'm going with it. But yeah, it's just like man is of the earth and not of
Right.
the goodness
Amen.
that he should be seeking for instead of the earthly things, if that makes sense. And if you don't
Right.
care, will you meet me?
All right. Sister Mariah.
Oh, you want to take Sister Sean first? She was.
Oh, she was? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh,
Sean and
that's
then Mariah.
okay. Yeah, that's okay. Just reading this, and Job is pointing out tangible things,
Right.
but there's a realization that there are intangible, valuable things that man cannot obtain, but they can obtain, but they choose not to.
Such
And so,
as?
just
Such as?
uh, um, love is intangible,
Right.
but it is also obtainable. But sometimes people don't have it in them to love. That's
Amen.
one.
Yep.
Wisdom is another. And so
Yep.
there are these valuable things that are intangible. We can't physically touch it, and we can't, yet we can't obtain it. But Job is mentioning all these things that we do seek to find, because human beings are materialistic.
Right. Right. Well, Job is going to back you up, sister, on that one. I can't wait to get to it because it's coming soon. He's going to back you up on that one. Sister Mariah.
Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines of Sister Sean, and Jesus speaks about this as well, right? He says that on the outside that they clean themselves up, but on the inside that they're full of dead men's bones, excuse me.
Right.
So the righteousness of God, like she was speaking about, is something that is intangible, that we cannot physically place or see. And this is where I think that it's kind of Job is lying with that it is God who searches the hearts and the minds of men, the deeper things that we cannot see. I could not search you out if I wanted to, that has to be something, or God who is powerful enough to do such a thing.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Brother Pat, go ahead.
Yeah, so men will, like you're saying, men will do anything for the riches of this world. Man, it really is true how I'm thinking right now about how like Jacob would do anything for the blessing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to see something here that the people who hate God, they'll do anything for gold, silver, money. I'll give you an example of this, Jonathan. There was a man named Napoleon Bonaparte who tried to connect the Red Sea to the Mediterranean. Right? Is that who you were thinking of, brother?
No, I wasn't thinking about him, but it was even further back. Yeah, it was even further
Well,
back.
there's several pharaohs who did it. It's hard to, so I don't know who you're thinking of.
It was a pharaoh. It was a pharaoh for sure.
Oh, okay. So you're going way back. Yes,
Yeah,
there's
going way
yes. There were like 3 generations of pharaohs that tried. They all had that same vision and they didn't make it happen.
Yeah, you
But
couldn't get it done.
I think the idea is the same. They'll do anything. They'll unalive people to try to get the riches. They'll mistreat people. We enslave people. Right. For it. We'll do anything for those worldly treasures, but not for the spiritual treasures.
Absolutely. And that's for Job. This is the point he's built. This is the case he's building. This is the case he's building right now. Sister Lisa, go ahead.
Well, I think that was pretty much the answer. I was just wanting clarifications that let me just say it again so you can say, so it's sinking in my mind. Job is saying all the things men will do for the things of this earth to gain their wealth and whatever that is. But just as Pat said, but we are not willing to go after the things of God.
This is what he. This is the case that Job is building.
Okay.
This is,
Man, I was way off on that one, but man, thank you
no,
for that, Ego.
no, that's all right though, because this is, I will ask the question about something like this before, because I want to challenge your thinking, and once that's done, when you go through it, and if you can see that it makes sense in the true light of it, then it's going to be that much more reinforced in how you process these kinds of things. And this is what we're here to do, sharpen each other. That's what we do, sister. So it's good. So, if everybody had the right answer to everything, we wouldn't need to be doing this. We wouldn't enjoy it so much, but that's the whole idea. We're growing.
Thank you.
So yeah, for sure. Sister Mariah, go ahead.
So now, like, obviously, as Sister Lisa said, I was way off, but now I'm seeing that he's still building the case of how the wicked would do, or prosperity wise, right? How they are trying to prosper in this life, and they don't search for the things that are of God, which is the true riches and the true glory, right? So building this case on the prosperity of men, and specifically the prosperity of the wicked man, and how far and what lengths they would go to.
That's true. Absolutely the truth. And so, and this is we're going to see it here in a few verses, and this is going to make sense. So like, you guys can look at it, because I'm sure most of you have read this several times, and you're going to be like, okay, now I see it. So this is what I want to try to get to you. Sometimes it just needs to be, go down that, turn here, and that's what I'm trying to do. So in verse 9, Job says, talking about man, he puts forth his hand upon the rock, and then he overturns the mountains from its roots. He cuts out rivers among the rocks, and his eyes see every precious thing. He binds the floods from overflowing, and the thing that is hid he brings forth to light. That's what he does. So Job is, again, he's continuing this whole idea of pointing out the ramifications and the results of men's efforts. And he continues to describe them as being bold and powerful efforts. And they are. Man is truly an amazing creature. And so sin has brought in something that corrupted and frustrated man's capability. And we're going to get to this. So Job is saying that men, they break through rocks, they reshape mountains, and they direct the flow of waters. How many dams are there in the world? How many streams have been connected to different, and I may get the water types wrong, but connecting the ocean to rivers and streams and all these things. Well, men, they carve out pathways for water to go. And they do things like produce electricity, all these different things. And so, he's pointing out that men they search and they diligently seek ways to capitalize and build fortunes and to improve upon industry. And they build, and man has this frontier mentality.